The hum of the printer was the only sound cutting through the silence of the office, a steady whir that matched the rhythm of my anxious heartbeat. I glanced at the clock on the wall. 10:23 p.m. The last of my colleagues had trickled out nearly an hour ago, leaving me in the dim glow of my desk lamp, alone with my spreadsheets and the lingering scent of coffee. But I wasn't entirely alone. She was here. "Why do you always stay late?" Emily asked, her voice a soft murmur that broke through the quiet like a whispering wind. She perched on the edge of my desk, her heels dangling, swinging slightly like a pendulum. Emily was my coworker, 32, with an air of effortless confidence that made her presence both comforting and unnerving. Her dark hair fell in waves around her shoulders, framing a face that was sharp yet inviting. I could see the way her eyes sparkled with mischief as they locked onto mine. I swallowed hard, the question hanging in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meanings. "I guess I just have a lot to get done," I replied, my voice firmer than I felt. She leaned in closer, her perfume, a mix of vanilla and something floral, enveloping me in its warmth. "But you work better with me alone, don't you?" The words hung like a challenge, stirring something deep within me. I was Nathan Carter, 29, a data analyst by day and a dreamer by night. My heart raced, uncertainty and curiosity colliding in a dizzying dance. I could feel the weight of her gaze, a probe that seemed to unearth parts of me I had carefully buried. "Is that a question?" I asked, attempting a light tone but failing as my heart drummed louder in my chest. "It's not," she said, her smile teasing, lips curling as if she knew something I didn't. "It's just a fact." The tension shifted, thickening the air. I could see the flickering shadows of the fluorescent lights reflecting off her skin, illuminating the small lines of her smile. She was challenging me without saying so, pushing against the boundaries we'd established as colleagues, and I was both terrified and exhilarated. The office was deserted, save for the two of us. The desks loomed like silent sentinels, each one a reminder of the late nights, the endless deadlines that had brought us together. I shifted in my seat, trying to focus on the spreadsheet in front of me, but her presence was magnetic, an electric pulse that drew me in. I could hardly look away from her. "What about you?" I asked, trying to deflect the conversation back to her. "What's your ambition?" She laughed lightly, a sound that danced in the air like music. "Ambition? It's all about closing deals and climbing the ladder, Nathan. But let's be real. What do you really want?" Her question hung there, heavy and unyielding, as though she were peeling back layers I wasn't ready to reveal. I hesitated, searching for the right words. "I want to be successful. To make an impact, I guess." "Impact?" she echoed, her eyes narrowing in contemplation. "But what does that really mean to you?" In that moment, I felt exposed, as if she were peeling away my carefully constructed facade. It was unnerving, yet I found myself wanting to share more, to dive deeper into the conversation. "I want to feel like I'm doing something meaningful, not just crunching numbers," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Numbers can be meaningful," she said, her tone almost conspiratorial. "But I get it. You want more than just a paycheck. You want to matter." I nodded, the weight of her understanding settling over me. "Yeah," I breathed, the word heavy with unspoken fears and desires. Emily leaned in closer, her knees brushing against my thigh. "And what about women? Do you think you'll find someone who understands that?" I felt my cheeks flush. "I don't know. It's complicated." My thoughts tumbled over themselves, the idea of dating feeling like a distant concept, especially in the context of our late-night conversations. "It doesn't have to be," she replied, her voice smooth as silk. "Sometimes, it's about finding the right person to share that ambition with." I glanced at her, caught off guard by the intimacy in her gaze. "Are you saying you're that person?" I asked, half joking, half serious. She chuckled, but there was a gravity to her eyes. Maybe I am. Or maybe you just need to look closer. Just then, the printer whirred to life, startling us both. We broke eye contact, the moment hanging like a fragile thread, almost snapping under the weight of our unspoken thoughts. I could feel my heart racing, the air between us charged with something electric and forbidden. The office felt like a different world as we continued our conversation, our laughter echoing against the walls. Each shared glance held a promise and a threat, teetering on the edge of something I couldn't quite define. I found myself leaning closer, drawn into her orbit, the boundaries of our professional relationship blurring with each passing moment. "Do you ever think about what's next?" she asked, her voice suddenly serious, breaking the playful facade we'd constructed. "Like, where you see yourself in 5 years?" I straightened, suddenly aware of the weight of her question. "I used to think it would be easy," I admitted, the words spilling out before I could stop them. "I thought I'd have it all figured out by now, career, family, everything. But it's harder than I thought." She nodded, her expression softening. "You're not alone in that, you know. Most people are just pretending they have it all together." The admission settled between us, a shared vulnerability that felt both liberating and terrifying. It was an opening, an invitation to delve deeper into the uncharted territory of our lives beyond work. "Do you feel the pressure, too?" I asked, my voice barely above a murmur. "Every day," she replied, her eyes locking onto mine, an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "But sometimes, it helps to share that weight with someone else." I watched her, the way her expression shifted as she spoke, revealing layers of complexity beneath her confident exterior. "What about you?" she pressed, her voice low and inviting. "Are you sharing that weight with anyone?" I hesitated, the question hanging in the air like a fragile thread. "Not really," I finally admitted, the truth spilling out like an unguarded secret. "I've been too focused on work." "Maybe it's time to change that," she suggested, her voice a soft whisper that wrapped around my senses. "You don't have to carry it all alone." The unspoken tension between us swelled, a palpable force that urged us closer. I could feel the heat radiating from her, the magnetic pull drawing me into her orbit. Every fiber of my being whispered for me to reach out, to close the distance that felt both exhilarating and dangerous. But just as I leaned in, the office door creaked open, and we both stiffened, pulling away as if caught in a moment we weren't meant to share. It was Marcus, one of our supervisors, stepping in with a stack of papers in hand, oblivious to the charged atmosphere that had just enveloped us. "Working late, huh?" he said, glancing between us with a quizzical expression. "Just wrapping up some reports?" I replied, forcing a casual tone that felt too forced. My heart raced as I exchanged quick glances with Emily, the moment slipping away like sand between my fingers. "Make sure you lock up when you leave," Marcus said, turning to leave. "We don't want any surprises after hours." As the door clicked shut behind him, the air felt thick with unspoken words and unresolved tension. I met Emily's eyes, a shared understanding passing between us. We were on the precipice of something, an emotional cliff that felt both thrilling and terrifying. "Do you think he noticed?" I asked, trying to regain my composure. Emily shrugged, a half smile playing on her lips. "Probably not. But we need to be careful." "Careful," I echoed, the word rolling off my tongue like a challenge. "What does that even mean?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "It means we shouldn't let this go too far. We work together, Nathan. Could complicate things." "But isn't that part of the thrill?" I countered, my heart pounding in my chest. "Isn't that what makes it exciting?" Emily's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. "Excitement isn't everything. Sometimes it comes with risks we're not ready to take." I leaned back in my chair, the weight of her words settling over me like a thick fog. "What are you afraid of?" I asked, my voice softer now, searching for the truth behind her hesitation. She looked away, her gaze drifting to the window where the moonlight spilled into the room. "I'm afraid of losing what we have," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "This connection, this whatever it is, I don't want to ruin it." A silence enveloped us, hanging heavy in the air, punctuated only by the low hum of the printer. I felt the gravity of her words, the unspoken understanding that we were standing on a fragile bridge, teetering between safety and the unknown. "Maybe we can redefine what this is," I suggested, my heart racing at the thought. "Maybe it doesn't have to be all or nothing." She turned to face me, her eyes searching mine for answers. "And how do we do that?" I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. "By being honest," I said, my voice steadying. "By acknowledging that we're both drawn to something more, but knowing that it doesn't have to change everything." She studied me, a flicker of hope dancing in her eyes. "You really think we can navigate this?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm willing to try." "Are you?" Emily smiled, a small, tentative smile that lit up her face. "I think I am." As the clock ticked closer to midnight, the office transformed around us, the shadows growing longer as our conversation flowed like a river. We shared stories of our dreams and fears, the barriers that had kept us apart slowly crumbling with each passing moment. It felt like we were weaving a new narrative, one that held the promise of something deeper than just colleagues. But even as we laughed and shared, a lingering tension remained, an unspoken question hanging between us. Would we dare to cross that line? Sometimes, I wonder what would happen if we just let go. I mused, the words tumbling from my lips unfiltered. "Let go?" she echoed, her eyes widening slightly. "You mean just dive in?" "Why not?" I challenged, the thrill of the unknown coursing through my veins. "What if we took that leap?" Emily's gaze flickered with uncertainty, a mix of fear and excitement. "And risk everything? Our jobs, our friendship, everything we've built. Or maybe we could build something even better," I countered, my heart racing at the thought of what lay beyond the edge of our comfort zone. "We could redefine what we have." She paused, her expression contemplative. "It's a risk, Nathan. A big one. But isn't that what life is about?" I pressed, my voice steady. "Taking risks, exploring the unknown?" Emily sighed, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "I don't want to lose what we have, Nathan. It's too important to me." I reached out, my fingers brushing against hers, a soft connection that felt electric. "And it's important to me, too. But maybe we can find a way to keep what we have while exploring what could be." Her eyes met mine, a flicker of understanding passing between us. "You're asking a lot," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know," I replied, the sincerity of my words hanging in the air. "But I believe it's worth it." The tension thickened, a fragile thread connecting us in that moment. I could see the uncertainty in her eyes, the flicker of fear battling against the spark of curiosity. And in that silence, we both knew we stood at a crossroads. As the clock struck midnight, the office felt like a different world, a realm where possibilities hung in the air like the scent of fresh coffee, intoxicating and inviting. The shadows grew long, stretching across the desks like specters of our unspoken desires. "We should probably get going," Emily said, her voice breaking the tension. "Yeah," I agreed, the weight of reality settling back in. "But I don't want this to be the end of the conversation." "Me neither," she replied, her eyes lingering on mine, a silent promise hanging in the air between us. As we gathered our things, the air felt electric, charged with unspoken words and lingering glances. I could sense the shift in our dynamic, a fragile understanding settling over us. Yet the question remained: how would we navigate this new reality we had created? "Tomorrow," I said, my voice steady, "let's talk again. Just us." Emily nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her lips. I'd like that. As we walked out of the office together, the weight of uncharted territory lay ahead. The night was quiet, the streets bathed in moonlight, and as we stepped into the cool air, I felt an undeniable shift between us. We were no longer just colleagues. We were two people standing on the brink of something new, something undefined. And as we parted ways, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were both teetering on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown together.